Welcome to A Matter of Mindset. I'm your gracious host, it's Joey Jones. Got a special guest with me. Introduce yourself.
My name's Corina Nelson and I'm a life coach.
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about that. What made you wanna pursue being a life coach?
It happened a couple of years ago where I came out of sort of a not the best relationship. It wasn't very healthy, and I noticed quite a lot of my relationships were quite similar, and I realised that it couldn't have been these people. There's something to do with me. And I feel like that just put me on a journey of sort of soul searching. And when I came to sort of realizations about myself, I realized, that I was basically self-sabotaging myself.
Okay.
And through that, I realized that I needed to make some improvements in certain areas of my life. And when I did that, I realized relationships around me improved, my outlook on life improved. And I realised there's quite a few other women that I associated with or have come across that had sort of similar mindsets to me. And I really wanted to help those women out and realise that they don't have to self-sabotage their lives and they can get the relationships or the outcomes and the goals that they want just by looking into themselves, really.
Yeah. So if someone wants your coaching service, what sort of advice would you give them?
Well, coaching isn't really advice. It's more so asking them what they want and working out where they are at the moment and seeing if I can help change their perspective to help them get to where they want to be.
Okay.
It's not really advice.
Yeah, you had like an acronym that you told me about the other day. Elaborate on that.
Yes, and the acronym is a rap sheet, basically. And that's basically the sort of person I'd like to work with. I don't think I can work with everybody. I think some people are still going to be on a journey in the sense of may need like a therapist or a bit more help. So for me, you kind of have to have three things available for me to be able to work with you, and I feel that we'll be able to give you sort of the results that you needed. So yeah, it's basically RAP. And the first thing is responsibility. So you have to be sort of responsible for yourself, take accountability for your actions and who you are. The second being action. You have to actually take action in life. You have to actually put things into motion. If you're going to set goals, you have to actually be taking steps towards those goals.
Yeah.
And then the last one is presence. You have to be sort of living in the present. So you can't really be too focused on the past. You have to be in the present moment, looking towards the future.
Yeah. No, that's cold still. That's cold. Are any of them more important than the other, or would you say they're equally as important?
I say they're equally as important. If you're not someone who can sort of take accountability for your actions, you're going to sort of be looking to blame other people. So I can't see how you're going to be able to take the necessary steps, take action to make your goals happen. And again, if you're not present, if you're still living in the past, still focused on certain things that may be hurting you, I feel that's going to be sort of holding you back from making you make those steps.
Yeah, they all do kind of work together, innit?
They do.
Yeah. I think living in the past is what damages a lot of people. Like so, obviously, people in life go through like traumatic events, and they don't know that their mindset and how they think towards that event is how they evolve and move past that and become a better person. So yeah, I do think that's a good acronym to use.
That's very true.
How's 2020 been for you?
2020's been a very interesting year. Obviously, you started out thinking like you're going to be able to achieve a lot of stuff, and then a pandemic hits and it doesn't go as you sort of planned.
Yeah.
But I've actually seen so many blessings in this pandemic. As much as I haven't been able to go out and do certain things, it's actually helped me stay focused on my goals. It's helped me actually work on becoming a life coach, getting certain things completed, and actually helped me take responsibility and sort of more action in those areas.
Yeah.
Being out and about, it can be such a distraction sometimes. So
no, I agree. I think the pandemic helped a lot of people because I think around me, like a lot of people sort of went into creative fields and started expressing themselves creatively, and they found like a lot of fulfillment in that. Like everyone around me is doing creative stuff, and I think it's proper sick to see like everyone kind of adapts to, I feel that sometimes as humans we can underestimate our ability to adapt to our environment and what's going on around us. So I think this pandemic was a blessing in disguise for certain people, and
100%.
it does depend on your perspective.
100%. I think as well, when we're all at work, so I know a lot of people have been furloughed, and I think we sort of realised in that how much time you have can help you become creative.
Yeah.
When you're constantly having to do your work life and travelling to and from work, and you have to like focus on cooking and cleaning and just doing like basic chores in that time, it does take up a lot of your time, and being able to just have your time back really helps get that creative flow going, that creative process, because your mind's not so cluttered. It's sort of, it's just more open to do what you want to do, really.
Yeah, I think it even allowed people to like to focus on themselves a bit more, because obviously when you're working and you're chasing money and you're doing everything else, you haven't really got time to focus on yourself, and it sort of allowed people to slow down and be like, okay, cool, I can actually focus on me.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, so what's in regards to your your life coaching, you spoke about self-love. Why is that important to you?
I think if you don't have self-love, you're not going to make necessarily the right decisions for yourself. I was somebody who didn't display a lot of self-love, didn't have a lot of self-love for herself, didn't really have boundaries, or didn't really see myself as of any worth. So unfortunately that led me around certain people, and it led me to make like sort of decisions that I wasn't really happy with. And again, I think it all comes down to accountability. I then wasn't taking accountability for it. So with self-love, again, you sort of know who you are, you know what you want, you know what you stand for and what you'll take from people, and it just helps you maneuver through life so much easier without necessarily worrying about how you're being perceived. How obviously you need to worry about how you're being perceived, but if you're doing things from a place of self-love, a bit of respect, through discipline, stuff like that, then it's not so much of a worry of being perceived badly.
Yeah,
you're being perceived as who you are.
Yeah, no, it's true, and I feel like as human beings, like I think you need to love yourself in order to love other people, like properly love other people. Like if you're always trying to outsource love and get love from external things, there's always going to be a void. Whereas if you sort of understand that you're the source of your own love and happiness, then it's easier for you to give it to other people.
100%. If you're exactly that, if you don't have the love for yourself, you're always going to be asking it from other people, and it's going to come out in really bad actions. It's going to come across a bit desperate, a bit needy. You're going to do certain things that you're going to look back on and not be proud of. So if you give that love that you're looking for to yourself, then once you sort of fill yourself up, and then you're able to give that to other people, and in turn you're going to attract the type of people that are willing to give you love back.
Yeah, it's important. The theme is actually giving. My friend recommended me one book called Working with the Law.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't really remember the author, but there's a chapter in the book that talks about the law of receiving, and how you receive in abundance is by giving. And if you can sort of understand that I'm not able to give, you need to understand why can't I give love to this person? Okay, cool. I don't love myself. That's the sort of process you need to go through. Okay, cool. I don't love myself. How am I going to go about loving myself so I can become a better person for myself and other people? So yeah, that book, proper sick. It put into context like bare like spiritual themes that I was studying this year. So yeah, Working with the Law is the name of the book. Go grab that.
I definitely will do, because I kind of agree with that. I believe as well, when you're giving, you know that obviously when you do give, you can receive, but you have to give with love.
Yeah.
If you're giving with the sort of thing that I'm going to receive something out of it, or I want to receive something out of it, that's not right. You need to give from your heart. You need to give with love.
Yeah.
And so if you learn to give, obviously yourself first, love, always make sure you're full. People feel sometimes that they have to give what they don't have, or give to receive something back that will eventually make them full. But it's like, no, you have to learn to give yourself first. You need to make sure you're full so that you can then overflow and give to other people. So that there's no expectation of receiving back. And I think that's something a lot of people need to remember, that you don't necessarily need to receive back from that person or receive back from that act. You just have to make sure you're giving from your heart and making sure it's just coming from you.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? When I didn't even understand like the spiritual importance of giving like freely, it was like I was giving, always wanting something back. But if you actually understand how giving works, in giving you receive anyway, even if you don't receive it in a material form. If you're giving with a pure heart and pure intentions, you spiritually receive those blessings, and it can manifest itself physically. But yeah, it's interesting, the spiritual stuff of the spiritual aspect of life. Like I feel like that's one thing I wanna talk about more on this podcast. Like there's so many elements towards like life which people don't really, everything people understand things is through like tangible stuff.
It's true. And
there's a non-physical spiritual element behind everyone and everything we do, which I want people to understand, which is what I want to promote on this platform as well.
I think that's a really good thing to promote. Just what you're saying there, people want tangible things back. But I think if you speak to a lot of people, if you really ask them what they want happiness. And I think, well, in order for you to have happiness, you have to sort of give. You have to feel the feeling that you get when you give genuinely, when you give love, that is happiness. Like when I give to like my family over Christmas, I'm not doing it because I want some presents back. I'm doing it because I know that's going to put a smile on their face.
Yeah.
So that with the giving and when you get the energy back, when you get things back, that in itself comes with happiness. You have that intangible thing, happiness. It's not always something, oh, I've given somebody, I don't know, £30 and I'm expecting them to now give me a really nice Christmas present. Like, no, that's not, that's sort of going for the tangible thing, but what you want. But when you give and make sure that you're giving through the heart of love, then the feeling of happiness comes, which is intangible, which again helps with your spirit. Yeah,
and even if you have to give, everything has an intention behind it. So it does have to be done, like, it does have to be done with a pure heart. And speaking on like the happiness, I feel like a lot of people make the mistake of, I want this person to make me happy. And it's like, it doesn't really work. It does work like that, but it doesn't really work like that in the sense that how you have to be happy within yourself. Because if you always want someone to make you happy, it's never gonna be enough if you're not happy within yourself. So you have to find the balance of, I'm here for the other person, but within myself, I'm happy.
So how would you go about that? How would you go about finding happiness within yourself before asking somebody else to potentially make you happier?
I'll just ask myself the right questions. Like, am I happy within myself? Am I bringing this person into my life because I make them better, or am I bringing this person in my life to fill a void?
Okay.
And I feel like a lot of people don't really ask themselves these questions. Like, people, like, if you're going to enter a relationship or whatever, you sort of have to ask yourself, okay, cool, this person makes me better, and in them making me better, I can make them better. That's what a relationship is meant to be like. You're meant to complement each other, but a lot of people just want to take. And yeah, so I think, you just gotta be happy within yourself, and you have to, again, you have to give. Because if you give, it's the person, assuming the person is actually a proper person, they're gonna be like, okay, cool, this person actually gives me a lot, and they're gonna be compelled to give back.
That's true. I feel like what you were just saying as well with the whole sort of relationship and happiness. I think when people say that they love somebody or they have feelings for somebody, they feel because they have that love that they automatically should have that love from that person back. But I feel like real love and if you really care about that person and if you really want happiness on that person, that's them being happy with or without you. So if you love them for who they are. But if they don't share the same feelings or the same emotions back to you, it's unfortunate, but you shouldn't then be mad or angry at that person for not feeling that way. You should just, because you love them and because you care about them, their happiness and how they feel is paramount.
Yeah.
If they do feel the same back, then that's just a bonus.
Yeah. reading my Bible sort of helped me understand what love is as well. It says love is patient, love is kind, and love is not self-seeking. And I think that's the most important one. Like, a lot of people want to be loved how they want to be loved, and the other person might not have the capacity for that. If you love freely, give the person the opportunity to love you back freely as well. Don't sort of do it in the way you want it to be done.
It's true. I think that's something I definitely learned from my last relationship. I felt because I loved this person and because I did certain things for them that they should automatically do certain things for me back. But I wasn't really taking into account who they were, what they wanted, what they really believed love to be for them. It was just more so from my side because I wanted it, because I believed that they could fit what I needed in life. And when I left that relationship and I realised it was really unhealthy on both parts, I realised the role that I played in that. I just was so kind of absorbed with filling that void, feeling that love and getting what I wanted from it. So I realised before I even think about another relationship, before I even think about meeting another person, I need to work on why I felt like that, why I believed that my love was enough to make somebody love me how I wanted to be. It shouldn't be that. It should be meeting somebody, you both liking each other's vibes, liking having similar values, and realizing that you can potentially go on the same journey together. It shouldn't be I like you, I want you, and I want you to fit my mold. That's not what life and love is about, really.
A lot of people feel like they can change people to fit their image still, and that's a very dangerous road you're going down. Like, obviously you can push people to be better, but trying to mold them in your image is a dangerous road.
I'd definitely say so.
Yeah, and I think that I don't know. I feel like in relationships, I feel like a lot of people embrace their narcissistic side, whereas they want to be worshipped almost and not loved properly. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I suppose some people do want that person to literally look at them as the only person that is attractive, the only person that for them, the only person they can get along with. I think that comes down to insecurity and not, again, being comfortable and happy within yourself. I think if you learn to be happy, accepting and secure within yourself, it doesn't matter. It obviously that person still needs to be about you, but they don't have to be completely on you and completely infatuated with you to know that they care about you and love you.
Yeah. It's almost like a lot of people have the attitude of like, if I'm not getting my way all the time, this relationship is not going well. And it's not always about, relationships are about sacrifice. You do have to sacrifice. And if one party feels like they're doing all the sacrifice and the other party just taking, that's when there's like conflict comes, and it can boil down to like toxic relationships and stuff like that.
It's true. I think definitely in my relationships, I gave more in certain areas and I didn't necessarily understand how that other person was giving it, because it wasn't how I wanted them to give. So yeah, it's definitely, when you become in a relationship, when you go after certain people, you have to really understand them and you really need to listen to them. I get into so many conversations with girls, not so much guys, about these sort of things, but I do get into conversation with women where they talk about like, I didn't realize that this is what this person was on. I didn't realize that this was their intentions. And I feel a lot of the time, a lot of people do reveal themselves in the first couple conversations. And when I say that, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad people, but their intentions may not be what your intentions are. But I feel sometimes you can get caught up in the looks, you can get caught up in, I don't know, their status, maybe money, something about them that you kind of attracted you to them. You can get caught up in that rather than actually listening to who the person is. And I feel people don't care about necessarily compatibility. They just, again, it's fitting what they want. They've seen that they've got this really nice car, they're good looking. Oh, I want that for me, rather than actually, okay, they've got a nice car, they look good, but their values are completely off from what I'm on. Or they're sort of, a good example is when a guy says he's not looking for a relationship, he's not ready, I speak to, and myself included, used to feel like, okay, well, I can go down that journey with that person and then he might become ready. But you should take people as they are. So if he says he's not ready for a relationship, then you've kind of got to act accordingly and be like, right, if I'm going to proceed with this person, I have to make sure I'm guarded and I'm not going to let myself fall for him and hope for a relationship because he's already told you his intentions, if you know what I mean. So you have to really listen to what people say and go with what you have, not what they could be, not what you hope them to be, who they are.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that. I agree. I do think when you move according to the lust of your eyes,
Mm-hmm.
you won't listen to the clues that people leave about who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And when people show you who they are, you have to believe them, innit?
100%.
And yeah, what's your mindset moving into 2021?
My mindset moving into 2021 is to always be grateful. Be grateful for every experience, every opportunity that comes my way. Continue being grateful for being alive, to be able to still do majority of my life during these hard times, and to just be like more giving, like just make sure if I've got more time to give it to people I care about, help people out as much as I can, and get my coaching business going as quickly as it can go.
Yeah, you got to give yourself time though. It's a process. When things are meant to take off, they will. Like you just got trust the process. As cheesy as that sounds, but you actually do. Like it's not an overnight thing. And I think now when people step into their purpose, they sort of, when you set goals and you set a time frame on them, you sort of limit yourself. If you like set a goal, but like, okay, cool, my goal is to set up this life coaching business, and you don't put a time frame on it, you don't build up the anxiety in your mind. It's like, okay, cool, if I give myself a year to set this up, when a year's not done, you're gonna be feeling bad about yourself, and it's like you don't even need to put yourself through that. You can literally just, okay, cool, I've put it out there into the universe. I trust that I will manifest all I desire, and I'm just gonna keep working towards that.
No, this is true. I think with what I've been doing is exactly that, is setting my intentions, putting it out there, and just letting it be. So I'm not so much worried about the how all the time. I always used to be like, okay, this is what I want to do. How do I do it? How do I do it? But I know what I want, and I know that if I keep that as my mindset, like the how just automatically comes to you. So been working on the skills, been working on coaching people, and just by doing these things and making sure I stay consistent with it, little opportunities have opened up to me to be able to keep things going in that direction. So for me, it is literally just staying consistent in what I'm doing, working on myself every day, and again, just helping as many people as I can, making sure my interactions are not so much advice given and more so helping people question where they're at and where they want to go, really.
Yeah. People do get defensive when you give them advice, innit? So if you do sort of force them to look inwards, I think that's more constructive for them and for you, because you don't come across as overbearing or self-righteous, where it's just like you force them to ask questions and they're like, oh, I never actually thought of it like that. And it's not like, oh, this person's giving me advice, who are they to give me advice? And one of my affirmations is I thank the universe for granting me that my desires. And I think that's been very powerful for me this year. Like everything that I sort of put my hand in, I feel like, not even that I feel like, I know that it's gonna manifest itself properly. And even when I had this idea for a podcast for a minute, then I think just as lockdown started, I said, okay, cool, I'm actually gonna have to do this now. I can't just have another sick idea and just let it go by the wayside. Then I started it, and obviously when you do something once, it's like, okay, cool, you're doing something once. But then when people see that you're consistent with it, it's like, oh yeah, this guy's serious. And it all started with a thought, and it started with an affirmation, and it started with believing in yourself. And I think that's super important. Like, how you feel about yourself will show itself in every interaction you have with people.
100%. And it comes down to, again, having that love for yourself. If you love yourself, then you have that ability to believe in yourself. I think a lot of it obviously stems from childhood, but sometimes you don't believe in yourself, or you don't have love because of how people spoke to you as a child, how people sort of said that you couldn't do certain things. And it's a process to try and unlearn that and be like, you know what, there's certain things I can't do at the moment, but if I keep working on it, if I keep trying to do it, then I can eventually do that. But again, it all comes down to like intention and consistency. That's one of the biggest things I've had to learn this year, is to be consistent, because if you're not, things don't, you fall off. You say you're going to do something, and if you don't keep at it, you can just be like, so easy to be like, I can't be asked to do it, and it becomes, like you say, a distant.
Consistency is the hardest thing as well, because a lot of people try like to be perfect, and it's easier to be perfect than it is to be consistent. And I tried to be consistent like all the time in regards to, like, let's say coming to the studio to film. It's like a lot of people can let external stimuli sort of make them not want to do certain things, like, oh, because of this I can't do this, because of this I can't do this. And if your mind is wired a certain way, you'll always find a way to get things done.
It's true.
Yeah. And you said something about the past. There's one book I was reading called 33 Strategies of War by Robert Greene. Very sick book, by the way. He has a chapter in there called Erase the Memory of the Last War. And I think of that in regards to the past. Whether your past was good or bad, if your past was good, you're going to sort of lean onto that, like, oh yeah, look at me, my past victories make me who I am today, so that's why I sort of have such a high self-esteem or whatever. Whereas if your past experiences were bad, you can then be like, use that to sort of haunt your present, like, oh, because this bad thing happened, I'm gonna let it gloom over me. Whereas if you erase the memory of the past war, good or bad, it helps you remain present. And I think that's a very important skill that you need to have for your mindset. You need to remain in the present moment. Like, the past is the past. What's important is right now. And I think that can help. That's very helpful for people, even in relationships, because a lot of people carry trauma from past relationships, and it affects what they have right now. And you could actually have a good thing right now, but because you're still thinking about the past trauma, it's affecting your perspective on what's in front of you right now.
I agree with that. It's I know it can be quite hard to sometimes forget about certain things, but again, I feel like that's where like accountability can come into sometimes, and just learning, like, I get certain things happen to people that they had no say, or they didn't ask for it to happen, but it's learning to accept that things do happen, and if we can maybe do things a little bit differently, or just learn that things can happen but you're still here, it can make you stronger, rather than seeing it as something like, oh, this happened and now I'm this and I'm that, I'm not worthy of it. It's like, well, no, actually something happened, whether you caused it or not, you're still here, and you can come back and be stronger from it. I feel like you can sometimes revisit the past to learn from it. I think it's really important to, like, if you've done something wrong, don't go around feeling sorry for yourself and feeling guilty about it. Actually be like, look, I messed up here. Why did I mess up? What was my thought process in that? And see if you can just change that moving forward. You don't have to live in the past in the sense of, I still have to be there. You can, like I said, learn from it, and to see if you can maneuver slightly different going into the future. The past is a great learning tool. If you actually have perspective on the past. Like, a lot of people, sometimes I talk about on my last podcast, where I said that how I was chatting to someone, and obviously didn't work out, whatever, and I was just super vexed. I was super vexed. And I was like, wait, hold on. I was definitely at fault here. And it takes a level of self-awareness to be like, okay, cool, I actually messed up here. Moving forward, I'm going to move differently. Whereas
if you're always of the mindset of this person done me dirty and I had no role to play in it, you are just gonna walk around as being very bitter and just. And yeah, it's very important to have perspective on the past, man. It's not always, it's there for you to learn from it. It's not there for you to hang over your head like a dark cloud.
It's true. It doesn't have to be something that makes you feel bad all the time. It's something you learn from. And a lot of times, if we can look back sometimes and laugh at certain things, it's just going to make us feel so much better. Like, I feel everyone goes around feeling like they have to be perfect and they have to be seen as perfect, but we're not. There's no one on this planet, no matter how they seem or make you perceive them as, no one's perfect. Everyone's flawed. It's just how you continue on from that. It's like I used to take myself so seriously all the time, like to the point that if I made any sort of mistake, I'd feel like people were like, oh God, what is this girl doing? But it's just like when I've realized like I'm allowed to make mistakes, I'm allowed to mess up, I'm allowed to improve. Like if I'm the finished product now, where have I got room to actually grow? Like I want to be able to like look back and be like, when I started out, I kind of like didn't know what I was doing here. I made mistakes, but now 10 years on, look at what I've been able to do in that time. It's, it doesn't have to be such a serious thing. We can enjoy ourselves. We can have fun with whatever we do. We just have to, again, have the right perspective on things.
Yeah. I always say that to like a lot of people have been getting into creative fields, as I said before, and I always say to them like, allow yourself to like space to improve. Like mistakes are gonna come. You're not gonna intentionally make mistakes, but mistakes are gonna happen, innit?
Mm-hmm.
Don't beat yourself up over the mistakes. Allow yourself to learn from these mistakes. Just self-evaluate and be like, okay, cool. We could have done this better here. We could have done that better here. And moving forward, you'll just become a better person. So I think that's the importance of, for me anyway, being able to express myself creatively was very important, helped me a lot with my mindset towards life. Because some of the mistakes that I made, I didn't even know that I was making them at the time. But I said, okay, cool, I've made this mistake. I've learned from this mistake. I'm going to move on from this mistake. And I apply that logic to life as well. So there's a lot of similarities between creative fields and life itself.
100%. Well, life is creation, isn't it? Like you go on to create a life. So I feel like a lot of people don't believe they are creators or they are creative, but really everything you do is some type of creation. And I feel the more you are aware of yourself and the more you allow yourself room to just be who you are, you get to just open those fields up even more. So for you to even be able to create this podcast, you've had to develop a sort of self-awareness of what you want, who you are, to be able to even go on to do that. So everything is really a creation.
That's a good one. That's a good one still.
So what are you going to take into 2021? What have you learnt from this year?
I just got to put myself out there more and just believe in myself a lot more.
Okay.
I think I've made good strides in believing in myself, but I feel like there's always another level. So I feel like I need to put myself out there. I need to network more and just being a bit more giving and helping people.
Okay.
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, well, what have you done well this year then? What do you think that you've done that went really well and that you're quite proud of yourself through this year?
I've been actionizing my thoughts.
Okay.
I did say to myself, like, I was battling with myself for years, like, for a long time. I was saying, I need to move out of my house. Like, my friends know that I'm having a conversation with them. I'm like, yo, I need to move out of my house. Then one day, like, it just came to me. I'm like, yo, I'm actually moving out and I'm doing it. Like, I'm gonna roll with the punches and I'm doing it. And I believe this will be the best decision for me. And when I done it, it's been the best decision I've made this year, and my life has started to take off. So I'm grateful for that. And it sort of showed me that how when you actually have a thought process and you follow through with that thought process with 100% belief in yourself, it's very empowering. And you inspire yourself and people see that and they get inspired by that. And I think if we're all in a circle or around people that we're being inspired by each other, you can't really lose with that.
I agree with that. How did you get into a circle? How is your circle in regards to that? So how are people around you even inspiring you?
They're just embracing themselves and their gifts. I just think that's sick. Like, everyone has their own gifts, so I don't really look at my friends like, oh, I wish I was like you. I look at their gifts and I be like, yeah, your gift is hard. Run with that. Yeah, and when I see that they're embracing their gifts, that gives me the confidence. Like, yo, what is my gift? Let me embrace my gift, and I'll put it out there for the world. And whoever resonates, and whoever doesn't. But either way, I believe in myself, and I will attract like-minded people. So it's just believing with yourself and just application. I think that's 2020 for me has been the year of application.
Awesome. I hear that. But what you just said there about, I like that you said that it's good to acknowledge your circle's gifts, because I feel a lot of people feel that if they do give their flowers to people around them that are doing well, that somehow it's not going to help them improve their lives, when actually being supportive and being proud and inspired by other people, that helps you develop your own path.
Yeah.
I feel people sometimes can get a bit intimidated around when people are growing and flourishing in ways that you aren't yet. And I feel like it's a mindset we need to try and just actually like work on a lot more, is being happy for others. If they are improving their lives.
In Seat of the Soul, there's a book that I read. There's a chapter about relationships, and it says for relationships to work, the individuals in question need to be inwardly secure. And that's not just relationships with like male or with like a partner. That's with like your friends and your family. Like, everyone needs to be inwardly secure, because when everyone's inwardly secure, emotions like jealousy and envy, there's no room for that. Like, I ain't jealous or envious of anyone, because I believe in myself. I'm living in my purpose, and I'm doing me. If people are around me are doing themselves and I'm doing me, all I'm gonna do is just be there to encourage them. Like, yo, yeah, you got something. You're sick. You're actually sick. Like, just keep doing what you're doing. And that's what I say to my friends. I'm just like, yo, like, even if you haven't found your gift, I'm gonna be like, find your gift. Like, that's the missing piece right now. Like, you've got everything, but just find your gift, and your life will take off in ways that you wouldn't even imagine. Like,
that's so how would you recommend somebody or help someone find their gift if they don't know what that is?
You know what? I wouldn't even. I would first ask them, like, what do you enjoy? Like, what do you enjoy? Like, for me, it was just like, I have conversations like this normally on the phone with my friends. And one of my friends was like, oh, you should start a podcast. And I actually had the idea myself already. But when he said it to me, it gave me the confidence to be like, yeah, you know what? He sees what I see. And that just gave me confidence. So I said, yeah, cool. I'm going to start this. But where I was moving out of my house at the time, when the idea came to me, I didn't really have time to sort of apply it there and then. But then we went into lockdown around March times. And I said, you know what? I can't even use the excuse. I can't really have any excuses as to why I can't implement my vision. So I implemented it, and since it's been going well. And I've seen that, I don't want to take credit for any of that, but I've seen that people around me are sort of embracing their I'll say hobbies and gifts. And it's very refreshing to see. I can't really ask you I can't really tell you what your gift is. You have to find your gift yourself. And when you do find your gift, you have to just apply it with the utmost confidence. Like, people can say and believe what they want, but only you have your thoughts. Only you live within yourself. Only you have the passion that you have for certain things. I can't say, nah, this ain't the one. If you believe that it's the one, who am I to say anything?
Of course. So I'm guessing that's how you felt about doing a podcast. Obviously, someone said you should do a podcast, but actually that was a thought you said that you had before, that you should do a podcast. So what made you think that was your gift? What made you think that was something you would be good at and be able to bring to the table?
You know what? I didn't even know it at the time, but it's been something that I've been working on. Like, I listen to Bear podcasts as well, and I see how people do things, and I said, I could actually do this. but how could I do it in a way that's unique to me? So I said, okay, cool. I always talk about mindset stuff all the time. I like reading, stuff like that. I said I'll do a podcast about mindset. So I was looking around for names, and there was a website where you could literally just look for podcast names, and it was saying, and they say like mind over matter or something like that. So I searched matter, and I searched matter and mindset, and it was just giving me random names, and I was like, a matter of mindset. So I searched it in Google to see if anyone's taking it, and no one's taking it. I'm like, yeah, cool. Now that I have this idea, I need to implement it fast before anyone grabs the name. So yeah, it just happened to me like that. And obviously, I wanted to make sure that I had a platform where it's actually people can learn from. Like, if I'm talking over you, if you're talking and I'm talking over you, I can't understand you or learn where you're coming from. So I do make it a point of emphasis to consciously listen to what you're saying. And I think in doing that, I've been able to create like good dialogue. So that's literally going to be my blueprint moving forward.
Which is really good. I think that's the only way that you can have dialogue, though, is when you have two people that are willing to listen to each other.
Yeah.
If they're not, then it can be a bit crazy, and you're not going to learn from anyone. You're just going to be talking over each other.
Yeah.
Trying to be right.
Yeah, I think as well, even one thing 2020 has taught me, like, it's taught me to understand people better. Like, not everyone is going to be at the same stage where you are mentally and your sort of understanding of things. But you have to sort of understand that everyone's on their own journey. And I've always said to myself that how everyone's on their own journey. I've sort of, it's been in my mind, but I haven't actually understood it and acted in a way that says that I believe that. But yeah, everyone is actually on their own journey, but all you can do is be the best person that you can be, and obviously inspire people and inspire yourself. Like, right now, like I'm in from where I've come from to where I am now. That inspires me a lot, and I didn't have that perspective before, whereas the self-love wasn't always there. But I've been in the process of building up my self-love, and I'm still in the process of trying to make it better, but I've seen the growth that I've made, and I'm grateful. So yeah, it's just being grateful and trying to improve every day.
Yeah, and being able to like give yourself the flowers because you have made moves and you have done things that you wanted to do and put them into action. It's always good to be able to give yourself flowers, I believe. Sometimes you feel like you can't, but it doesn't have to be a braggy or boasty thing. It is just like, I did well, I've done something I wanted to do. I need to acknowledge that. We don't always need to just acknowledge the bad things we've done, but the good as well. But I did just want to quickly say something about what you said about understanding other people. I think in order for you to understand other people, you have to understand yourself first.
Yeah.
Because when I didn't really understand myself, I would always take other people's actions personally and would feel like, oh, why are people doing these things? But when I understood why I kind of acted in certain ways and why I felt the way I did, I find it easier to see where people are coming from, and they may feel like this because of certain things. I'm not so hard on themselves, and then I'm not then reacting too much to people. I learn to respond.
Yeah.
But I will say I found it a lot more difficult with people I really, really cared about, or like say like my parents and family. I did struggle a lot to understand them. I think because that was more so, again, not learning how to deal with how their actions may have affected me.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes it depends on who it is. You can struggle a little bit more with certain things.
You know what? For me, I think, obviously for me, I was able, in me being able to understand my family members better, that sort of helped me with other people. Like sometimes, obviously, you're not always around your family. You can be around your friends more. So you may understand your friends more than you understand your family. But when you understand your family, it's like, okay, cool. They're the closest people to you. So you understand your friends, you understand your family. So anyone that's sort of in between, it's going to be easier for you to understand them.
It's true. I think that's very true. I think I was trying to say as well is that I understand, but it's more so I struggle to accept their stance, if I say if that means anything. Like
Yeah.
struggle to accept why they still think certain ways. I think when you learn to overcome certain things that have happened to you and learnt that, okay, I don't have to always go around as the angry person, as the bitter person, as the person that needs to hurt people because I've been hurt. You kind of feel like I'm making certain changes, and you kind of hope the people around you that you love are going to want to make those changes.
Yeah.
So I think I've struggled with certain people not wanting to do that, and having to realize I have to sort of I have to limit my time around certain people purely because it can affect my space and my energy.
Yeah. And you know what? Sometimes, like so in the process of you trying to become a better person, that can influence your family in a positive way. Like sometimes you have to be the prime mover.
It's true.
Like to change your family's fortune, sometimes it has to be you.
So you have to take it on.
And you have to accept that responsibility. Like, and I fully accepted it. Like, I feel like in myself that I'm gonna be the one to change my family's fortune. And I see the changes that people are making, and I'm grateful. I can only thank God, because man's understanding of things can be flawed sometimes. So you have to sort of accept the responsibility. Like, if you want to change your family's fortune, you can't change them yourself, but when they see how you're moving and how you conduct yourself, it's going to compel them to change how they conduct.
You can only hope it's going to help them compel to change. Some people, unfortunately, they don't want to change. They may want to change, they just don't know how, or don't feel they've got enough time left to do the changes. But you can, like you say, you can only hope and wish that they are going to sort of learn from your actions. And try and become better people themselves.
Yeah. You saying that? I think the name of the podcast today is "It All Starts With You." I think that's the name of it still.
I think that's a good one, because it does. It all starts and it all ends with yourself.
Facts. I think we can wrap up. Corina, tell them where they can find you on the socials.
So you can find me under Your Coach Corina, or on Corina _C_N on Instagram.
Okay, cool. That's A Matter of Mindset done. It's Joey Jones signing out.